My name is Alexander Mestre. Today I'll presenting about the MVC software design pattern, where MVC stands for Model View Controller. This pattern allowed us to divide our logic into three different parts, depending on how they interact with the data and the user. Today, as applications grow more dynamic and require more people to code and keep the code organized, these patterns have become widely adapted in web, mobile, and several other applications. The components of the MVC design pattern are the view, the controller, and the model. The view represents the part of the code the user can see, the user can interact with. The model represents the real world logic and data. For example, how we represent the data we storage, the amount of cars in a store, how that gets stored in our database. The model communicates with the database and defines how it will interact with the application. The controller, it is the mediator between the view and the model, deciding when the input, what to do with the input, if it is going to go through the controller, the model, and what happens when the model data gets back to the user. In a strict implementation of the MVC, this is what will happen in an application. We have a view. Let's say we have a website and our user wants to fill up a form and send that data to be stored. Then the form will be filled, the data will be sent to a controller, and the controller will decide how to route it. In this case, the controller decides that it has to send it to the model to be processed. The model then will take the data and communicate with the database, saying we need to store this data that the controller has prepared for us. The database sends a response that the data has been saved. And the model then sends a response back to the controller, which prepares a new view for the controller telling that your data has been stored. This is a strict implementation of the MVC approach. I want to show a real example of this implementation. Here we have an application. This is a car shopping store where we divided our views for the users on this folder. And this is a login view, which I'm going to show in a second. When the form is filled, it talks to the controller, which will be the accounts controller. The account will process that input and decide to send it to the model, which then will prepare a statement to store it in the database, then take it back to the model, and the model will send a response back to the view, giving the user a message. So let's see the process in action. As we prepare the form and send it to the controller, it gets check on the database and then sends back to the model, and we can see the data came back and the login was successful.